Welcome to the Making Money in the Music Business podcast, where we share insightful views on a variety of topics in the music industry that can help you make more money from your music business. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. William E. Smith and Kenya McGuire Johnson.
Hello. We said it at the same time.
He jumped in. I said, "Hey, Kenya, we are back."
We are back. Hey, Will. I am.
That's me.
How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm thankful, especially at this time. A lot of people are struggling and it's kind of rough out there, but, I'm thankful that I got the basics. And I've got more than the basics, actually, but, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Blessing.
Same here. As you know, I'm just coming back from a little bit of R&R. And while I was there, I was doing some writing for work, actually, for a leadership thing I'm trying to get into. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm able to do this by water, by the pool, by a lake.
There you go.
I mean, I'm just like, this is a huge blessing and I'm so grateful. So I am with you. This is, though, I will say 2021, listen, I don't know, for me, I'm really having to dig deeper this year, even deeper, because I don't know, I guess that's just a part of life. You think you got it and then something happens. You're like, dang it.
Yeah, trust me. I know the struggle. But I think part of it is that, you really just have to keep plugging. And if it's something that you really want, and if it's a dream of yours, then you just can't let it go. And you just got to let the things happen. And it's kind of rough, but
I think what's getting tricky for me is the things that I thought I dreamed of are now changing. Yeah.
That's
so the dream. So the thing you thought you wanted so badly, I don't know, for me, the more I am digging into my own life, the dreams are changing.
Right.
So that becomes challenging.
Yeah.
But fun at the same time.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Well, I'll point folks to a guy that really clarifies a lot of this stuff for me. That's Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza's good.
He really gets into that, and you really got to step into the unknown and embrace it.
Yeah, not just step into it. That's what I was going to say. It has to be an embrace and a real strong affirmation. Like it has to be. Yeah. But that is not our topic.
We're starting a whole different podcast right now. We're going in a different direction.
We have to come back to that. We actually, today, our topic is a question for our audience. Is Clubhouse the new power networking place?
The new powerhouse for networking.
Powerhouse. That was what it was. Yeah, I messed it up already. Yeah.
Clubhouse, the new powerhouse.
Is it the new powerhouse for networking? And I had alluded to joining Clubhouse, and we said we would come back to this topic and talk about it. And those of you who are on Clubhouse, you'll probably be able to follow pretty well kind of this thought pattern. Those of you who are not, have never even heard of it before, then we'll be able to educate you on it. But
I said, hold up. And I said I would join Clubhouse, but I realized that they were only
discriminatory.
On Apple. Yeah, so I'm discriminated against. I'm an Android user. But
I was going to say, right now the app, I guess I think it's all still in its beta, how they go through their different phases of development, although they are killing it in their first phase. So I can only imagine when they're able to add, Droid users. Side, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. But before we get into that, you have a music tip.
We have a music tip.
Music tip. Ching.
Make a jingle for it.
Right, we need a little ching.
The music tip I have today is it's called Buffer, and it's basically the same as Hootsuite, where you manage all your social media in one spot. Some people might like Hootsuite better because of the interface, but Buffer is a pretty good substitute, and they're both free. You can have a paid version if you want to have more accounts, but you post it on your dashboard, and it goes straight to your social media accounts. So no more copying and pasting from one social media to another and all that hard work. You can just do it in one spot, and there you go.
Yeah. Would I'm very familiar with Hootsuite. There are pros and cons to me for it, but have you used both or
yes,
just?
I have used both. Okay. The reason why I switched over to Buffer, because for some reason Hootsuite wasn't recognizing my Instagram, and I realized that there's a new thing now that you got to have a business Instagram and whatever. But Buffer is just easier.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like a simple, whatever step process. It's not as sort of cumbersome and so many things you got to go through with the others. So,
I will check out Buffer because look at my thing. I'm on a power. It's Lord, my little power is wanting. Did I black out for a minute?
Just for a second.
Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to probably charge this. We're gonna be editing it today, but that's okay. My device today it was like, you used us on vacation. You don't remember? So yeah. Anyway, I'll have to check it out because I do think, I know for a fact all this, there's the issues I've always had with Hootsuite and these types of is that I have a different voice. My brand has a different voice on different platforms. So how I sound on IG is not really the brand that I sound on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's been the challenge for me. And same then, with LinkedIn and all that. It's a very different voice. So, but I'll check it out.
Yeah. That's it.
Awesome. So our topic for the day is Clubhouse, the new powerhouse for networking. Well, I'm going to say it is. I am going to say it is definitely working its way to be a significant powerhouse. And I'll kind of maybe say some significant points as to why I think it is. But I think in general, we wanted to use today's podcast episode to just talk about how networking is just simply different, clearly.
It's evolving in many different ways. And COVID has accelerated the evolution process. So,
right.
It had already started evolving, years back, and people were sort of connecting on different platforms. LinkedIn has always been one of the spots. Facebook groups, and then there's some other chat forums that are sort of specific, but also Reddit. People are actually organizing, as we see if the stock market, they're organizing on Reddit. And so, it's really become a new networking environment. And you have to sort of calibrate yourself differently to engage that way. And it involves learning some new skills and tools into your, arsenal.
And I think, honestly, it's going to force your hand just a bit more because you can kind of quietly be, in physical spaces with networking, you can kind of quietly sit back and, and maybe engage, maybe not. How you look becomes more of a situation sometimes, and that can be good or bad. But I think now with these virtual spaces where you really have to talk, and like if it's not meaningful, or type, if it's not meaningful, it's just easy to dismiss you so much easily. And because it's way more people in the room or whatever, it's easier to so you got to stand out differently. And so, I guess we can start. And, this podcast won't be one of our longer ones. One, because my battery supply. But two, just because it's Will and I, and our topic conversations are a little bit shorter. But I did want to just make sure people understand, those of you who are not on Clubhouse like Will, what it is. And really what it is, it's a virtual space to network. And, it is something that's by invitation only right now. If you get invited, you accept the invitation, and it immediately, as soon as you get on, it immediately asks you your interests, because it's immediately attempting to kind of understand what clubhouses or what rooms you would be most drawn to engage in and network in. So it's going to ask you, you know, what you do, or types of work, type of industry you're in, and your type of interest, and all kinds of things, so that it basically now can create this algorithm by which to give you notifications when certain clubhouse rooms kind of match your interest.
Yep.
Okay. So that in itself saves you then the work,
right,
of going and trying to go find, you know, oh, I want to learn about it's automatically kind of pinging you. The other thing is that it has access to your contacts, which is why probably this phone situation is a thing. But it automatically, once it has access to your contacts, it lets you know who is on Clubhouse, and you can immediately begin to follow vast amount of people.
Right.
And then obviously those people can then begin to follow you back. So that's kind of how, you know, you get started. But once a topic or a room is made, the topics are all over the place. And I think this is where it gets a little tricky. You've got to use a lot of discernment to decide where you are going to occupy space and network. I know for myself, I have mainly been going only in those rooms that pertain really to obviously my personal interests, but also, you know, to the music industry, and to more of the self-care, spiritual development, personal development, and entrepreneurship. And I'm just starting to tap in a little bit more into the filmmaking. Obviously, they have music licensure things, but outside of the music, but just filmmaking itself, and acting and so forth, only because that's an interest that I'm starting to dibble-dabble just a little bit more in. And once you get in a room, this is where it gets real kind of, it's like where people get a little tricky.
Yeah, that's sort of my question is how does it really work once you're in there? How do you get a chance to talk, or is it the people invite you to come up to talk, or what is it? Right.
So exactly. So when you're in a room, there's basically 3 levels of the room. There's the main stage. And so if you think of like if you're at a conference or something, the main stage is where your moderators are. And there may be anywhere from 1 to 10 to 5. It can be various numbers of moderators. And those moderators are basically people who always have the stage and you're really leading the discussion. Then they have a second tier. And if any of the moderators, any of the people who are on the main stage follow you, then you're placed in this little special area. So that kind of makes you feel a little special, because that means it's not you following them, it's them following you. Right. Exactly. So, and there's no typing, and there's no chatting, typing in Clubhouse. It's all verbal. So if your voice if you are going to be heard, you can't, and that's the other thing about what I said about pushing you a bit. You can't get away with these little let me just chat and be, anonymous and type away on the side. None of that. If you're going to be heard, it's going to be that you would actually have to either be asked to get on the stage by one of the moderators, or you raise your hand. There's a little thing you can click and raise your hand, and then they will, depending on the number and size, they will bring you up on stage. So you have the main stage with the moderators, and you have the stage where we're kind of a little special. The moderators follow us, and then you have just the main room.
And this is all audio, no video.
All audio. And so only your little profile picture is what everybody sees, and your name. Okay. And so if you're in the room and you see somebody, you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. You can click on their picture, and then that's where you'll see their whole bio. And that's where you would put all your bio, your websites, what you do. And you can automatically have it linked to your Twitter or your Instagram or both. Right. No Facebook though. There's no Facebook interface. And so you can't DM. There is no typing. There's no messaging on Clubhouse. Okay. So if you want to actually DM or really kind of do a more
side chat conversation. Yeah.
What ends up happening, and this is where the boom happens. Okay. Is you follow their IG or Twitter. Okay. And so that is how then you start increasing those followers on those other platforms. Right, because you start following them, and then you can DM them, obviously, once you're following them on either of those platforms. But that's where, to me, the powerhouse comes, is that you have the ability to increase your other platforms simply by, so when I have been asked to get on stage, or when I have raised my hand to get on stage and I've talked, I see my numbers on Instagram go up, because now I was talking about something and people heard, oh, that was an interesting statement or topic or whatever. And then they can go not only follow you on Clubhouse, but follow you on these other areas. And I think that's what's making it a powerhouse. And you will find, and once you're a moderator, Clubhouse kind of encourages everybody to, whatever room you're in, if you're sitting in that room, follow your moderators, because these are the people who are really leading these discussions and can really help with the networking, because they're facilitating this. And so, by following them, a lot of them will follow you back. And so then it creates this.
Yeah, it's what it's doing. It's giving you access to larger and larger groups, but also higher tier groups of people that you normally wouldn't have access to unless you paid like thousands of dollars to go to a conference.
Exactly.
And so this is actually the perfect time, because it's just starting and everybody's on there. So I highly recommend folks to get on there, but I wish I had an app. Twice. One
of my friends, she was a Droid user, and because of her business, her marketing person is like, you got to go get an iPhone. You got to get on Clubhouse. This is, it's going to be a game changer. She's putting on virtual conferences, and, for their marketing, it's like, you got it. So she got it. She did, go ahead and get an iPhone as well, so that she could be, have access to that. I'm not telling people to just go spend all their money like that, but honestly, I am, now that I'm getting more, I've been on it for about a month now.
Right.
And now that I'm seeing, a lot of these people who lead these rooms and are moderators have become high influencers on Clubhouse. Right. And this is almost like it's a part of their job at this point. There's some people who have every day, they have a room that they're talking every day at a certain time. You have other people, who have a weekly. I'm going to be starting a weekly with a friend on self-care. Right. And so it's a way for you, obviously, to promote, to network, to market. I mean, it's just got a lot of legs. But also
be an influencer, and it'll take you to another financial strata.
Yes.
To be an influencer. So are you using your iPad or your phone?
No, I use my iPhone.
So it's only on you can only use the phone.
I don't know. That's a good question. Because it's not one of these apps where you go to the app store and download. It's not like that. I got the you get the invitation by text.
Right.
And so I guess if you opened the text on my iPad, and I don't usually use my iPad for that. I just happen, but it should have integrated. I'll look at it. It should have.
Yeah, that's sort of some of the questions that I have. What is it only on the phone, or is it on the? I
think probably any Apple device. I would think
computer.
But I would think, but maybe not, because like I said, my friend, I don't know. I'll check into that though. That's a good question. It's a good question. Because if you have an iPad, some people have iPads, but Droid phones.
Right.
So the problem is that things are being, I think this is where it throws things off, is it's kind of recognizing stuff by numbers, by actual phone numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
So, but that's it in a nutshell. And I think what you just said about getting in rooms with people you otherwise would never be I think that's a pro and con. So you have to be careful of how, because this is the thing, if there is someone like Tiffany Haddish who does a room like every night, or when people have their movies like, Lakeith, who is the actor in Judas and the Black Messiah, or whatever, the Black Panther movie, he was running a room a lot. The problem is those rooms are packed. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people. So your likelihood of being able to get on the stage and talk to them, I mean, it's slim. But at the same time, you're hearing from them, and, you are still getting you're getting advice, you're getting understanding, you're getting updates, you're getting all kinds of information, you're getting an idea of who they are and what to do. And people who are on the stage are asking for advice. And a lot of times the way you're getting on the stage is there's a topic and they're asking you to either comment on the topic or ask a question pertaining to the topic. And then once you're on, you can start your own rooms. So you don't have to just be joining, you can, if there's something that you really want to talk, or you want to market, or you want to, and you don't want to get on there and say, okay, I'm marketing my this. That's anti-culture. You never want to do
exactly.
that. But obviously we all know that by getting in these rooms and talking these different subjects, if there's somebody that's saying something really profound or interesting, or you want to work with them, or you want to, and so moving over to the music side, the music industry rooms that I have either been pinged, and pinged means somebody will tag you basically and ask you to join that room because they want to hear from you, or they think it's a topic that would interest you or whatever.
Right.
Some of them have been fantastic for music industry wise. I've actually started writing a new list of potential guests for our podcast because I think I would love for our listeners to learn more about them. But then there are others. And
well, you'll always have varying quality of experiences and products, but we'll leave it at that.
I will say this: the scary thing about the music industry.
Okay.
The music industry. The thing that we have to be careful. One is that you're actually getting sound information. That you're not getting something based on someone's opinion or bad experience or even wonderful experience that would only pertain to their particular scenario and not law across, the land. Making sure you're hearing from actual industry people who do this. Right. And so when they're telling you to do A, B, or C, following it, understand you're hearing it from a reputable person who is in your lane. Because the thing is one of the things that I'm finding is there's certain things that obviously work for hip hop and rap that are not going to work for the jazz,
or
musician.
soul,
exactly.
And
so that's where it gets a little tricky. Is if you're a newbie, if you've been in this game, you've been in this industry, okay, I don't need to be in that room. I don't need to be in that room.
But if you don't know anything about it, you'll end up in the wrong space.
And you'll start taking advice based on what they're saying, which will work maybe for that type of artist, but not necessarily for you.
Yeah.
And using that discernment, I think, would be very tricky if I was new into the music industry. So, I have a lot of ideas about that and, thoughts about it. But I think I'm with Will. I think that artists in particular, and absolutely entrepreneurs, I don't care what field you're in, you need to get on Clubhouse mainly for yourself experience and with our topic.
Just grow your business and also, get to learn some new things about what you do. I would also say this is sort of universal for the networking sphere is develop certain skills and Clubhouse is going to be different because it's an audio format, but the skills still apply. It's how to talk to people,
absolutely,
how to approach a situation, and it's awesome that we joined. We're at that SyncCon conference together, and I have a witness to my exact method of talking. She was a witness. When we were at the conference, and I told my students that this is what I teach in my class is when you go to conferences, you research the panelists and you come up with several questions to ask, and then you ask them about a specific experience that might be a personal experience. Because what that does, it connects you to that person on the panel. And they will always remember you because they remember that emotional experience.
Exactly.
And so Kenya was there. I asked one of the panelists, because I had researched him and I knew several things about, personal life, but of course it was public information. But, and he paused.
Yeah.
That's a good question. And now, but first, the other thing is I said my name. Of course, when you're in a room and you say your name is Will Smith, everybody remembers you. So that set the stage for the rest of the conference. And I was able to talk to everybody I needed to talk to just from those two associations. So,
Yeah, I think that, this evolution of networking and virtual networking and online networking and everything, you're going to really you can't just assume that what you typically do will work in this space.
Exactly.
And so I think, we'll have to find the number of the podcast episode where you talk more specifically about those things, to do. But I think in these spaces where we're typing and we're talking, and talking particularly because talking is kind of like performing. If you can tell when someone's nervous, you can tell when someone is doesn't really know what they're talking about. You can, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of nuances, which will push you then to challenge you to begin to work on talking to people, and being comfortable, with that. And just because you're good on a stage, that has nothing to do with your talking ability. I mean, that's a different. It's performing, but it's a different. It's different. And I still get nervous. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying it's also different from typing. So,
yes.
You have a whole different mode of thought process, and you're able to edit yourself and all these things. And it's a different world. That's what makes Clubhouse, I guess, such a game changer in terms of being new and being a new format. But I would say these are the skills. If you're going to try to develop yourself, these are the skills that you should start working on. Your conversational ability, ability to bring up an idea and weave in certain things that you're trying to actually work on and get to.
Right.
It's an art, just like
it's an art.
Singing or playing music.
And, I have noticed on Clubhouse, there are people who, like I said, are, got thousands of people following them on Clubhouse, but may not have very many following them on IG or Twitter. And so it also shows you how these different platforms, how the audiences, because to me, okay, on IG, I'm just posting pictures, right?
Right.
Twitter, I'm doing some witty comments types. Oh, I've got millions of followers. But can you talk? Can you really hold a conversation? Are you interesting? And I think Clubhouse has more of an ability to give you an opportunity, honestly, to probably have a bit more followers or a little bit more engagement because you're having an opportunity to speak and to convey these ideas. And it's not just about how dope your pictures are or just how, witty your captions are. It's real that can be edited over and over and over and over and removed and, replaced. And this is, you said it and you said it. And so I think it can either trip you up big time because you can have a bad rap on there versus really give you a new opportunity for where you otherwise maybe. And the thing is you can start your own room. So you don't have to even you can start your own room. So if you want to talk about crocheting and how it relaxes your soul, you can start that. And you would be, I know, I can tell from looking at some of these moderators, I can tell they probably started off with just some simple idea. And that room, they did it every week and it just kept growing and more people and more interesting things started to come out of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is a different world we're in, and it's,
oh my God.
It's evolving and changing rapidly.
And I think the music industry, and I know that our audience probably, because we bring most of our guests from the soul, jazz, neo soul, R&B kind of world musically. Yeah. I think that this is a time where we're really going to have to we have been the bedrock, I think, honestly, of so many other genres in music, but, we're getting swallowed, I think, to a certain degree. Right. And I think these different ways of networking and how we're going to brand ourselves, we can't sit in antiquated systems. We have to be willing. Oh, my thing, it's telling me, come on, Kenya. We have to begin to just allow ourselves to be pushed and to show up. Right. So as my, I think I was aiming for a strong 30 minutes. I think we got the 30 minutes.
Yeah, we got it. We got it in.
But any last minute things would you say about this kind of new space of networking?
Just develop your own voice in that type of space, just like you do on your stage performance wise. Develop a writing voice, develop a talking voice, and have it for different audiences. So this is just life skills, basically. Yeah. Really, you have to be able to do this to adapt. And unfortunately, they don't teach this in schools. Yeah. But this is what you have to do to really succeed. And people really need to be able to engage with you, and you got to have a way of expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the whole game of life, really. Communication.
It is the game of life. And you said, and this will be my last point, you mentioned schools but I think that this is where schools are now going to have to start. The system is too antiquated as well. And I think bringing these types of conversations, particularly at collegiate levels, but definitely we can even bring it in, K through 12 levels, of how, an English class can now become create your elevator pitch. Yeah. And so then we can grammatically kind of look at where and there's a lot of fun ways to pick that apart. So any educators out there, understand all the systems are being challenged right now to level up so that you can be more comfortable with this new way of life and communication.
Yep. And we all need to communicate better.
Oh my gosh.
Lord knows
it'll help all the way around. I mean,
yes.
Personal and professional relationships.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, all right, Dr. Smith, we're going to be back next. Yeah, this was good. I'm so glad I was finally able to talk about Clubhouse. So if you get on Clubhouse, follow me. And I'll follow you back. It's just Kenya McGuire Johnson. Yeah,
keep checking Kenya's people, because I might pop up in her list one of these days.
we gonna slide him an iPhone.
I'm gonna get there somehow.
You're gonna get there. We need to get you there, because we can continue our podcast conversations on there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, until next time, you guys be good, be safe, be healthy, and thanks for listening and tuning in. And make sure you're commenting and sharing the podcast. Yes.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. All righty.
Cool. We'll talk to y'all next week.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Please subscribe to our podcast on your podcast player and leave us a rating and review. Also, please leave us a comment on our Facebook or Instagram page. And if you would like to contact us about a specific topic, you can email us at 3mbpodcast@gmail.com.